Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on the expected outrage and virtue signaling by woke leftists, mainstream media, and most importantly the South African government after the United States had a strategic attack on Venezuela with a specific focus to take into custody the president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife. Now, after all of this has taken place, you've got the government that is condemning the actions of the United States, saying that they invaded a sovereign nation. And my question to them is, a sovereign nation? It is on record by multiple international election authorities that he stole the 2024 elections, he stole the 2018 elections, and the only time that he was actually voted in as the president was in 2013, when he literally won by the width of a hair. So this is a dictator that has committed serious atrocities and have caused Venezuela to suffer and be at the point where they have a 80% poverty rate in the country. And then besides all of these facts, you will have these woke leftists, mainstream media, and the government defending this dictator that has allowed narco gangs and terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah to come into his country and pretty much allow Russia and China to take over the country and do whatever they want to do. So Ronald Lamola, who is the minister for DIRCO, had the following to say. So as you can see here, he said, "The government of the Republic of South Africa notes with grave concern the recent developments which were confirmed by the United States. History has repeatedly demonstrated that military invasions against sovereign states yield only instability and deepening crises. Unlawful unilateral force of this nature undermines the stability of the international order and the principle of equality among nations. South Africa calls on UN security, the body mandated to maintain international peace and security, to urgently convene to address this situation." Now, they've also come out with a statement that you can go and read on your own. I'm not going to go through that because they, in essence, just double speak about, oh, this shouldn't happen. A sovereign nation is a sovereign nation. And, you know, when somebody goes and invades a sovereign nation, they should be held accountable, which I find very interesting because, you know, I asked Grok a simple question, and it was this. South Africa has not condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Instead, the South African government has maintained a stance of neutrality, abstaining from key United Nations General Assembly resolutions that condemned the invasion and demanded Russian withdrawal. This pattern continued into 25 when South Africa abstained from a UNGA resolution that strongly condemned the invasion, demanded withdrawal from Ukrainian territory, and called for accountability for war crimes. However, it did vote in favor of a milder companion resolution that emphasized diplomacy, a swift end to the war, and respect for territorial integrity without the stronger language on accountability or explicit condemnation. This approach has drawn criticism both domestically and internationally for not openly opposing the invasion. That's right. So the same ANC that condemns the United States for invading a country to get rid of a dictator that is not in actual fact the president is not the same as Russia just deciding one day to invade Ukraine and saying this is our territory. Go figure, right? But this is the ANC. This is how the ANC functions, you know. Rules for thee, but not for me. So their allies, which is Russia and China and Iran, they can do as they please. But the moment that the United States does something that is actually for the betterment of that country, then suddenly it becomes a problem. So needless to say, the doublespeak by the ANC is heard around the world because they are very quick to now say, oh, this needs to be taken further. This must be taken to the UN and they must deal with it decisively. But when South Africa had the opportunity to vote against, or rather to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine, then suddenly let the back fall Tanaghat and they didn't have anything to say. So with that being said, I just want to quickly show a video of the Nobel Peace Prize winner from Venezuela, Maria Corina Machado, that had the following to say about Nicolas Maduro and also about the United States. And then you can make your own mind up.
Some people talk about invasion in Venezuela, the threat of an invasion in Venezuela, and I answered, Venezuela has been already invaded. We have the Russian agents, we have the Iranian agents, we have terrorist groups such as Hezbollah, Hamas, operating freely in accordance with the regime. We have the Colombian guerrilla, the drug cartels that have taken over 60% of our populations, and not only involved in drug trafficking, but in human trafficking, in networks of prostitution. So this has turned Venezuela into the criminal hub of the Americas. And what sustained the regime is a very powerful and funded, strongly funded repression system. Where does that funds come from? Well, from drug trafficking, from the black market of oil, from arms trafficking, for human trafficking. We need to cut those flows. And once it happens and repression is weakened, it's over, because that's the only thing the regime has left, violence and terror. So we ask the international community to cut those sources, because the other regimes that support Maduro and the criminal structure are very active and had turned Venezuela into the safe haven for their operations into the rest of Latin America.
That's right. So that is the Nobel Peace Prize winner that had that to say. Now, I ask you with tears in my eyes, right? This is somebody that lives in Venezuela, has seen the suffering of that country, and has been acknowledged as winning the Nobel Peace Prize. And she is now having a great opportunity to take over the country and become the president of that country. Now, the question is, would you rather want somebody like Maduro to go back and be in charge of the nation after 2 elections that he didn't win, or a Nobel Peace Prize winner that can clearly see the terrorism and China, Russia, and Iran that is there in the country, and also the narcotics gangs that are there? Now, if you still don't believe me as to how bad Nicolas Maduro is, have a look at the following. The following is on Nicolas Maduro, who served as president of Venezuela from 2013 until his recent capture by US forces in early 26. He has been accused by multiple international bodies, human rights organizations, and governments of overseeing and directing a range of atrocities and human rights violations. These include systemic repression of dissent, crimes against humanity, and involvement in narco-terrorism. The accusations stem primarily from responses to anti-government protests, political opposition, and the broader humanitarian crises in Venezuela. Below is a summary of key alleged atrocities based on reports from the United Nations, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, the International Criminal Court, and other sources. So legitimate sources, right? I'm not going to go through all of them, but crimes against humanity, right? Torture and ill treatment, extrajudicial killings and excessive use of force, arbitrary detentions and political persecution, narco-terrorism and corruption, broader human rights violations. It just doesn't stop. Maduro and his government have consistently denied these accusations, labeling them as politically motivated fabrications driven by US imperialism and opposition forces. Oh, that sounds very similar. You know, like what News 24 and mainstream media and the ANC say about AfriForum and Solidariteit? They have accused the US of committing crimes against humanity through sanctions. Oh, yeah, okay. I asked another question. Did he steal the elections? And then they said, yeah, evidence supporting claims of election theft, specifically in 2024 as well as 2018. So, and this is also after multiple sources have confirmed that, and people that have rejected that he actually won the elections. So, after all of this information, after being able to see that legitimate organizations like the UN and the human rights organizations, when they condemned Nicolas Maduro, it seems that South Africa, China, Iran, and Russia are the only ones that are defending Maduro. How does that make sense? And do you see the pattern here? Who was involved in Venezuela? It was China, Russia, and Iran. And who is involved in South Africa? China, Russia, and Iran. So much so that over the next couple of days, Iran, China, and Russia will be in South Africa to do naval exercises. That's right. So once again, we are associating ourselves with the skunks of the world. I mean, Nicolas Maduro committed atrocities. And when, after the 2024 election, when he stole it blatantly, and people were going to have an uprising, then he arrested people, and a couple of people were brutally murdered. I think it was something like 2,000 or 3,000 people were arrested for protesting in the streets that he stole the election. But this is who the ANC, mainstream media, and woke leftists want to get behind. I mean, go figure. Somebody that's a Nobel Peace Prize winner that is from Venezuela is approving the fact that they need an invasion to get rid of this dictator. And now after it has happened, she has congratulated the United States and Donald Trump. And she should know more than most what is good for her country and what needs to happen and how it needs to proceed. And yet you've got woke leftists and mainstream media in this country and the government and ministers like Ronald Lamola and Cyril Ramaphosa condemning what happened here. But when Russia invaded Ukraine, they were chup still. They had nothing to say. I'm just so sick and tired of the fact that Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC will defend to the death the skunks of the world, terrorist organizations that are associated with Iran, like Hezbollah and Hamas, that is working in Venezuela with the narco gangs, with the other terrorist organizations. And yet our country is saying what happened to the president in Venezuela is unacceptable and the United States need to be held accountable. But they said fuck all when it came to Russia invading Ukraine. The double standards is just absolutely insane. And one would think, what is behind all of this? What did Russia, China, or Iran promise South Africa in order to go down this route of consistently siding with the skunks of the world? Everybody with eyes can go and look at how people in Venezuela are celebrating the fact that this dictator was arrested by the United States. But yet you'll have Al Jazeera and you'll have mainstream media like News 24 and Daily Maverick and all of these local outlets condemning what Donald Trump did. It's also a common knowledge that the United States have offered a reward for the arrest or capture of Nicolas Maduro for a very, very long time. I think the last amount was something like $50 million. And then famously Maduro had a speech in which he said, "Stop doing it, come here, I'm right here, cowards." And then, the White House made a hilarious video over it. Let me show it to you quick, just so you can see. Farfo time, ladies and gentlemen.
Venga por mí.
Last night, on the order of the President of the United States,
Aquí lo espero en Miraflores.
and in support of a request from the Department of Justice,
No se tarde en llegar.
the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, Nicolas and Cecilia Maduro.
¡Cobarde!
Nicolas Maduro had his chance until he didn't. He effed around and he found out.
This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history.
Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. But don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well.
That's right. That's right. So a lot of people in South Africa are now saying, what does that mean for South Africa? Well, South Africa is not at that level. I mean, look, we have very skunky friends, Russia, China, and Iran, and they are definitely trying to manipulate South Africa and have in essence, come to South Africa. I mean, China has flooded the market with cars. We're doing this naval exercises with Russia and Iran and China. it's quite clear that if you go to the harbors in South Africa, you will see that China has already infiltrated South Africa. And slowly you can see the relationships that have been built between the ANC and Hezbollah and even Hamas. Ask Naledi Pandor, and ask Ibrahim Rasool, and you will have all your answers there. So I don't think that South Africa has got this coming its way, but what will happen is the sanctions will hit South Africa really, really hard. And if the ANC still doubles down after that, then potentially something like this can happen. I don't want it to happen because I don't feel that we have a situation where a politician or a political party is in power after lying about the elections or manipulating the elections. So therefore, I truly believe that the United States won't do something like that. And I really hope that they don't do that, because that will be overstepping. But when it comes to Venezuela, you can clearly see the record there. He stole 2 elections. He managed to get the narco cartels to come into the country. And then, as I stated, Hamas and Hezbollah operates from there. It's just a terrible situation because they are relatively close to the United States, and the United States has to protect itself. However, with that being said, the ANC needs to look at this and realize that Donald Trump and the United States aren't messing around. So if you want to play the stupid game by siding with Russia, China, and Iran, then you are going to win stupid prizes. And the first of those stupid prizes will be sanctions against the ANC, the EFF, and potentially MK. And then you are going to see how this country deteriorates, because the ANC will not be able to handle the fact that the top of the ANC and the EFF can't buy the luxury brands that they want anymore. So instead of playing ball with our second biggest trading partner and trying to do everything in our power to build a good working relationship with them, we are rather deciding to side with Russia, China, and Iran, which I think for everybody watching here, it is very clear that they are the skunks of the world. They truly invade countries just because they want territory. They do suicide bombings, and they have terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah that they support. I don't want to be on that side. I rather want to be on the side that puts God first. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the United States of America. Definitely not Iran, definitely not Russia, and definitely not China. So, to the ANC government, are you going to have your FAFO time? Because it's coming if you don't change your tune with regards to the United States. And you can blame everybody that you want under the sun, but ultimately it's your actions that speak louder than any word could be uttered. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, it's free, share this video far and wide. And if you enjoy my content and you support this channel, then you can become a member, which will cost you R39.99 a month, and that will be in support of me and this channel. And you can do so by clicking the join button below. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Till later, cheers and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre.